Angels Care Home Health, serving Hayes and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare-certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
They're polite. I mean, they just take the time for you.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible.
I like the Angels for what they've done for me.
Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.
Eagle Community Television presents Community Connection with your host, Mike Cooper.
Hello and welcome again to Community Connection from Eagle Community Television. Thanks for watching, and thanks as always to the producer of the program, Jeff Durall. We're at the offices in Albertson Hall on the campus of Fort Hays State University with the director of the Management Development Center at Fort Hays State, Sabrina William, talking about the first of a new presentation for spring of 2016, Generations in the Workplace. Sabrina, let's start at the beginning here with the Management Development Center. What's it all about, and who's its purpose, and what does it serve?
Absolutely. Great questions, Mike. You've done your homework, right? Well, the Management Development Center was started on the campus of Fort Hays State University back around the mid-1980s, as I understand it. So it's been around for quite a while, and it's never been in the capacity to have a full-time position until recently. So about a year and a half ago, I took the position as the first ever full-time director of the Management Development Center. And really, it was established to help be a business outreach arm into the community from the College of Business and Entrepreneurship. And so we work with primarily clients in Western Kansas and Central Kansas for any training and development type needs that they may have, perhaps consulting projects that center around human resource issues, which is one of our top consulting project areas, as well as marketing. We get a lot of requests for marketing help and those types of things. So the Management Development Center's mission is to help improve people and their skill set so that they can go back and help improve their organizations. So pretty simple, right?
Absolutely. And it works well in the workplace too, because putting these elements together improves the workplace environment then.
Absolutely, and that's really what it's all about. So what types of things can we do to help those businesses be more successful in the areas that they're operating in? So,
well, now your first presentation, Generations in the Workplace, is intriguing from the standpoint of the topic and what it's all about. If you would, first of all, the facilitator of the program, Ruth Beeler. Tell us about Ruth and how she became involved.
Absolutely. Ruth Beeler is the Human Resources Director for Adams, Brown, Barron, and Ball, and we have a nice partnership with them where we get to utilize her expertise to come in and teach some of our public workshops that we hold here on campus at Fort Hays. And then she's also one of our consultants that we utilize to help local businesses, other local businesses in the area of human resource issues. So I've worked with Ruth on and off since I've been here for a year and a half. It's a great relationship, and the folks who attend our workshops seem to really enjoy her facilitating and teaching style and technique.
This workshop will be Thursday, January 28th in the Memorial Union Stauffer Lounge at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's correct.
Who can attend, and tell us about the particulars of signing up for this workshop?
Absolutely. Anyone can attend. It's open to anyone until we sell out. But that typically doesn't happen. We typically have plenty of space. Folks can register online at our website. There's a electronic process there, and it's www.fhsu, as in Fort Hays State University.edu, and then /MDC, and then you can register from there for any of our particular workshops. We tend to hold about one per month, and as they become available, they're all listed on there for registration. So that's how folks can register, or they can contact me at the office here at the MDC at 785-628-4124, and we can get them signed up that way as well.
And the Hays Area Chamber of Commerce, in our interview last week with Tammy Walbach, the director, they're on board with this program as well.
They are. They, sometimes have chamber members and businesses come to them and say, are you doing business seminars and workshops and those types of things? And Tammy's response typically is, why, when we already have such a good organization in the community already doing that type of service for the businesses? And so we partner with them to offer a 15% discount to any chamber member.
Let's talk about some of the specifics of the program, which you can relate to us on. First of which stands out to me is 4 generations contribute to today's workforce.
Absolutely. One of the key areas that this workshop focuses on is bringing heightened awareness to the fact that there are typically 4 generations now working side by side in the workplace. So you have your traditionalists and boomers that are typically what we would consider grandparent type age, working along with Xers and millennials, to use the common terms, that are typically grandchildren type age. And this workshop really talks about how those folks grew up in different time periods, and the history of what they have all been faced with has shaped who they are and what their values are and what's important to them, and that sometimes those things don't quite mix as well as what we'd like them to. And so that's what this workshop talks about, is that even though there are a great number of differences between the generations, that we all truly really want the same things out of going to work every day, and that's to be appreciated for what we bring to the workplace, no matter what generation we fall within.
And also to maybe forward the workplace environment to be a positive place where you want to get up and come to work.
Absolutely, that is so true. Another area that this workshop focuses on is what we typically refer to as stereotypes with the different generations. One of the stories that I was using in a reading about was a case study where these 2 consultants were traveling. They had left one country. They were 7 time zones ahead in a different country, getting ready to set up for their final presentation, which was early the next morning. And all that stood between them and a good night's rest was getting their technology equipment set up for the next morning. So they were waiting on their technology contact to come into the room to help them set up. And they were hoping, of course, that they had a young, tech-savvy millennial person who could get them in and out in 10 minutes and get them on their way to a good night's rest. And in walks a typical traditionalist age lady with what you might expect, a cotton print dress and support shoes and hose and those types of things.
A grandmotherly type.
Grandmotherly type, yes, thank you. And they were, of course, thinking in their minds, oh my gosh, we're never going to get out of here in 10 minutes. It's going to take forever. And then what they actually realized, and what the case study showed at the end, was she actually was the best technological assistant that they had run across in the entire year of traveling for consulting projects. And I think that's a really typical stereotype that's happening in today's workplace, is that we assume that the older generations don't want anything to do with the technology, when in fact that may actually not be the case.
That's an interesting story related there for this particular situation. Those interactions then you're talking about, Sabrina, can have both positive and negative effects as the relationships work together to try to form a cohesive unit.
They really do. A lot of times what we see are the different conflicts that arise because they're just not communicating in the way or the style that that particular generation or that particular personality type communicates. And so part of what this workshop does is try to address those issues as well, and figuring out how we can all get on the same playing field as far as our communication techniques, even amongst the different generations.
It's interesting, we were talking about what each individual age group brings to the workplace and to the overall mix. And there can be some positive and negative effects of this as they work in these areas of values and motivation.
Absolutely, and part of what this workshop does is actually puts participants into groups, and they have to do role playing. So they have to, physically take on the characteristics of a particular generation, even though it may not be their own, and they have to role play through a conflict situation. And these exercises lead them through what a typical person in that generation would maybe respond. And so I think it probably, I hope, enlightens them or shows them a different way to see, different perspective on what a different generation may experience.
Jeff was talking with us, our producer Jeff Durall was talking with us about the basics, if you will, that really has to be a starting point, I guess, for these relationships to work, huh?
Yeah, that's correct. And I see it here even on campus sometimes when we have student workers working with folks of a different generation. Sometimes the younger, typically are more tech savvy folks know a lot of things. They have a great energy to work, and they want to work, and they want to learn new things and experience new things, but sometimes they don't have that basic company knowledge or that basic skill set in place yet, and they need to learn that. And so they need to go and capitalize on what the older generation already knows and because of their experience. And so we see a lot of that happening, and then the older generation turning around and giving them that basic skill set, and then turning them loose and letting them get creative and utilize new technologies to get work done.
Now, this particular workshop, again, Thursday afternoon at 1 o'clock, Fort Hays State Memorial Union, Stauffer Lounge. And you're open to last-minute registrations, right?
We are. We'll take. We even can take registration walk-ins that day if we have enough of materials, and we usually do. So that's not a problem. I encourage folks to contact us and just let us know that they're coming. That'd be great.
Speaking of materials, show us what's going to be used as the facilitator, Ruth Beeler, will present this.
Absolutely. This is a program produced by a company known as Achieve Global, and we have purchased the materials through them, and Ruth has been learning these materials, and this is a sample of what the participants will take home with them as a resource that they can then refer back to after the workshop to use for hopefully applying to real-world situations that they experience post-workshop.
The stereotypes, again, sometimes we think that maybe the more experienced or traditional, as you say, worker might be a little hesitant to share some of the basics with young people because of job security. And I suppose that plays a part in a lot of different stereotypical situations. We have case studies also on that, and there's research out there that says sometimes that's what the traditionalist generation or the boomer generation is maybe somewhat afraid because of job security to teach everything they know to the younger generation, because the younger generation tends to be eager to take on new tasks and be creative in problem solving and those types of things. And so that's another stereotype that we have to get past and just, again, realize that we all really just want to be valued for our contributions in the workplace. And really, how can we, in this workshop, focuses on how can we figure out what is it that everybody can bring to the table that helps us with business processes. And at the other end of that scale, there are the traditionalists who say, young people just don't want to work that hard. They don't want to show up on time. They don't want to do the jobs that are the nitty-gritty of doing the job. They want to come in at the top and stay there.
Absolutely, just another set of stereotypes we have to focus on and talk about during this workshop. But there again, I think it goes back to realizing that times have been different, different things have shaped who we are and what's important to us. And sometimes the younger generation is on their phones a lot while they're at work, and that tends to annoy might be the best word, the traditionalist type generation, but when in fact they actually may be being very productive on those phones and answering emails and responding to text messages and things that actually have to do with work. So I think part of what that is really figuring out, okay, do we have some policies and procedures in place to make sure that there's work going on with personal use of cell phones and those types of things. And social media is another big one right now too, with younger generation and encompassing that in the workplace. So.
And maybe a little jealousy involved there in the traditionalists who can't quite figure out this texting and this manipulation of these phones and such too.
There could be. I even have some of that, and I'm a typical Gen Xer, so yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot to that. Sabrina Williams says that generational diversity and communication gaps associated with it can create difficult obstacles to overcome in the workplace. Sabrina Williams, Director of the Management Development Center. Once again, last-minute registrations available at the Fort Hays State Memorial Union Stauffer Lounge for the program Thursday afternoon, January 28, 1 o'clock, our Community Connection.
Angels Care Home Health, serving Hays and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare-certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
And the Angel Care nurse comes to see me once a week.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible.
Angel Care has helped to stay home.
Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.